Good morning, everyone. This is Shauna LaRue Marai from ICF. Welcome back to day 2. We are so excited to be here to talk to you on David's Corner Live. And before we get started, I wanted just to remind you can use the chat box if you have any technical things that you need. We'll also be using it to provide links. And then certainly go ahead and queue up any questions that you have for David. That would be amazing for you to provide that. And then one reminder about 6 Connect. There are hundreds of you on 6 Connect. And one thing we wanted to make sure that you knew is that the sessions are in blue and the discussion boards are in green. And I find it best to use the schedule icon that's over on the left-hand side, and I can easily get to the discussion boards. There are 3 for today. You'll see some from yesterday, but 3 new ones are David's Corner, rental, and then also advancing partnerships with minority serving institutions and others that are working in higher education. So certainly go ahead and use those discussion boards for questions throughout the day. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to David Berenbaum, the Deputy Assistant Secretary for HUD's Office of Housing Counseling. David?
Thank you so much, Shauna. Well, welcome back, everyone. And let me simply say to you, cheers to all. What a great day it was yesterday. And over 500 people participated in our final session of the day. And it was wonderful. The interactive aspect of our getting a sense of what's on your mind for future best practices as we kick off this entire initiative to take a fresh look at our approach to best practices, where we need to modernize and update. Thank you, everyone, for all of the great suggestions that you made. And I know, and I'm really looking forward to, there are a lot of opportunities for amazing engagement as we move forward. So stay tuned on that front. Before we turn to sort of what I'll call the Ask Me Anything component of David's Corner today, I'd just like to first invite everyone to go to the board and put your questions into the group chat, because that's what we're going to be using primarily to respond to questions. But I just want to highlight a few things that folks have been asking me about. First, an update on where we're planning to convene further regional meetings. As I noted yesterday, we kicked off our regional meetings in Chicago and the San Francisco Bay Area, and they have been extremely well received. While I think having our virtual conference allows great participation from across the country, there's something to be said for face-to-face meetings as well, where we really have time together to focus in on national as well as local issues. So just to give you a sense, we're actually planning to convene meetings in Atlanta, Houston, Seattle, New York City, Columbus, and Boston. And to give you a sense of timing, I'd just like to share a little bit about the dates, what we know so far, because many of these meetings are still in the planning stage. First, November 8th and 9th, we will be in Atlanta. And again, information on how to register and participate is going to be widely shared in every aspect via our emails or via our online materials, via Housing Counseling Today. So you should definitely see information on that. In February of the next year, 2024, we're planning for Houston. In April of next year, we're looking at New York City. In June, we're looking at Columbus. And in September, we're looking at Seattle. And then in October, we're looking at Denver. And there may be 1 or 2 more surprises about other locations, but we really hope to see all of you at these programs. They're really, really being well received. I also want to double down and just share information about our new program handbook once again. On October the 19th, we will be planning to do what it will be a really I think powerful and informative webinar, really looking at what is different and what is new in the new program handbook. And then you're also going to be seeing more information as well about what will be our interactive website, our library, and other resources that are going to be made available to you. Now, in the digest, which is part of the handbook release right now, you'll find that there are some links already added. And Shauna, I believe you're going to be dropping the link in as well for that digest. Is that correct? Yes, I
Yeah.
know you. Okay, thanks so much. Good. Now, listen, Housing Counseling Today has been a hit, and I hope everyone's enjoying it. As you know, it replaced what I'll call the PDF, the Bridge newsletter, which had a wonderful run. But Housing Counseling Today really celebrates your best practices. It's light reading, it's informative. You can read it at your leisure, focus in on articles of choice. Please share your successes and best practices with us so that we can highlight all of your work with all of our colleagues. And as well, I hope that you are beginning to use our new awareness campaign materials, Make Home the Goal. I really get such joy when I see the materials being used to advertise home ownership events, counseling services, on, in fact, as part of signatures on email, in social media. It's really exciting to see the campaign spreading right now. And as well, I hope everyone has downloaded the wallpaper as HUD certified housing counselors. This is designed for your use to celebrate that you are HUD certified proud. And again, it's available to all HUD certified housing counselors. So I think, the one other item I'll share with you, again, I mentioned it yesterday in my remarks, is that we have an upcoming Housing Counseling Federal Advisory Committee meeting as well. The meeting will be on September the 28th. You do need to register in advance. It's an email box that you send information to. It's on our website. It's on social media for our office. Please join us. The focus of the meeting is going to be on homelessness, our work in homelessness prevention, eviction prevention, rehousing and stabilizing situations, and of course, how we can collaborate with all of the organizations that work in this space, something that housing counseling groups do extremely well as part of the safety net to help people sustain housing or find affordable housing. So please join us for that. And Shauna, I'm actually going to turn it back to you right now because we have a really fun sort of opening question for you. And it is, what is your housing counseling why? And Shauna will give a little bit more background on why we're asking that question.
Okay. Thank you so much, David, and for those really important updates. So I think a lot of you know that the Office of Fair Housing and Equal Opportunity works very closely with the Office of Housing Counseling. And there was a conference just 2 weeks ago. I actually saw some of you folks there that are Fair Housing awardees. And they asked the question, and we did a word cloud there about what their Fair Housing why was. So we thought, what is your housing counseling why? And it may include aspects of fair housing, certainly. I see at least 2 answers here on equity and affordability, but go ahead and log into Menti. Our team is dropping the link. You can use a separate browser if you want to do that with the direct link, or you can use your phone and go to menti.com, and the code's at the top of the screen every single time. It's the same as yesterday, 28661445. So I'm seeing here, David, affordability seems to be, pretty large. The word cloud gets bigger for those answers that are common. Educate is also incredibly large here. What are you seeing?
I'm also, equity is great, but serving people, changing mindsets, financial success to help people, this is really wonderful. And it gets to our culture in housing counseling, right? The wonderful work we all do. Empowerment, that was a great one right there too. Great.
Yeah, and that's really large. And just the word opportunity, folks receiving housing counseling services are afforded a lot of opportunity to receive education and are really being served best by these HUD certified housing counselors.
Yes, these are great, and please keep them coming. I would love for us to do something with this, perhaps as a graphic for our collective use too. What brings us to the work we do? I want to just invite everyone to once again go to the board. And again, please place any questions or that you'd like me to respond to on the board. I know we'll also have an opportunity for some Zoom chat too.
There you are. Hi, David.
Did I break up for a moment?
Just for 1 minute.
Okay.
But I think we're back. I wondered
Okay, good.
if you wanted to take that first question in 6 Connect that we received yesterday about this particular person, Kim Clark, said that their current comprehensive housing counseling grant program ends at the end of the federal fiscal year on 9/30. Do you have any information on when the next NOFO will be available?
Yeah, Kim, thank you. That's, I think, a question that's top of a lot of our participants' minds, and it's a really good question. So what I'll share with you is that the Office of Housing Counseling has been moving forward through the HUD clearance process on the Comprehensive Housing Counseling Grant, also the HBCU and MSI Partnership Grant. And we're in a separate process because it's new, with the new homeownership initiative that has been posted for comment, of course, on the HUD website. We are trying to move this entire process forward. We had a working goal of September release. We are in a process right now where we have received concurrences across all the offices in HUD that needs to approve it. And now we're moving forward to a review by the Office of Management and Budget. So that should be complete, I'm being optimistic, within a period of a month. And it is our goal to release that immediately upon that final approval. Now, the wild card here, which I hope does not occur, is, of course, the discussions right now that I know everyone's very aware of a federal government shutdown. And this is connected to discussions of budget on Capitol Hill. As HUD professional staff, I cannot comment on that, but it's simply, I will acknowledge it as a wild card, because if in fact we are preparing to release the NOFO, in fact, all government staff will be furloughed until this issue is resolved. Again, fingers are crossed that that's not the reality, but I am looking forward to it in the coming, I would describe it, I'll be hopeful, we're saying within 4 to 6 weeks that we're able to release, but it depends on that process. From our perspective at the Office of Housing Counseling, we have done all of our work that is needed to move forward, but it is a process of course, collaboration in government. With regard to the homeownership initiative, we are in a process where we're waiting on approval of several new forms. One of the aspects of the homeownership initiative is collecting new data to really demonstrate the impact of our collective work together. There is not a lot of data available right now on the impact of pre-purchase and post-purchase housing counseling services. And so part of our goal in the first year of that program is to celebrate our impact, and working with our Office of Policy Development and Research to issue a paper really documenting what has been accomplished. And I'm really looking forward to that. A quick aside, I want to thank everyone who has reviewed the publication of the information NOFO that is available on the website right now, and ask questions or made suggestions. We are going to be publishing an FAQ in response to all of your questions, so please keep them coming because they are very fair and very helpful. For example, one of the questions that I really appreciated was, if we counsel someone under the Comprehensive Housing Counseling Program, but they're not ready for home ownership, can we later counsel them under the homeownership initiative? And that only makes sense to me. But these are the type of questions that are so meaningful. So thank you, everyone.
Okay, thanks, David. And a couple of questions have come in, and Claire provided the NOFO preview to accompany your comments. So the next question that I'm seeing is, will there be more practice exams and knowledge assessments on HUDhousingcounselors.com?
Wow, I've heard from so many people how those practice exams are probably one of the most helpful items in preparing for the certification exam. So I think that's a great suggestion. We're always looking for ways to improve what we offer as tools to help people become HUD certified housing counselors. So let me say that the answer to that, I hope, can be yes, and we're going to take that back to our staff and work on that. Let me also say that we are moving forward with the translation of the exam into additional languages as well. So stay tuned on that front. It's all in progress right now.
Okay, great. Thank you. A question in the Q&A box here is there any consideration to track data on borrowers purchasing multifamily because it's not a separate reporting area on the HUD 9902?
So in my perfect world, we would be doing immediately an update of our 9902 reporting, working with all of our CMS providers to capture more information, more robust information about the nature of our work as well as the outcome of our work. Now, HUD is awaiting appropriation information, and a major technology update for the Office of Housing, which we are part of, is included in the proposed budgets for the next 2 years. Now, we do not know the final outcome of fiscal year 24 or 25 yet, but we're hopeful we are going to be able to do a very significant update of our 9902. And that would allow us, along the lines of your question, to capture more meaningful information. Now, as we move forward, we are looking at the current use of CMS systems. I'll share with you that I have a concern, and I want to be very upfront about it, that many of our agencies are struggling right now with their current CMS providers. Either one, they need to be updated, or number two, the costs are challenging for certain organizations to sustain. Number three, as well, many people are opting to do manual reporting despite our expectation that everything be automated. We are doing a deep dive review of this issue right now, looking at every issue. We want to be extremely equitable. I just want to share that up front. But we're looking not only at what's happening in the field with all of you who are using systems, but we're also looking at the CMS providers. CMS providers are approved by our office. And if their systems are not meeting your needs, and some CMS providers are pointing fingers at HUD, I don't think in some instances that's very fair because the data systems are the data systems. I do believe that CMS providers have a responsibility to serve you for the fees that they are charging you for their services. I know many folks also have proprietary systems, but even those, someone is preparing them for your use and you're paying significant fees. So we're looking at all of this issue with a goal of really improving efficiencies, simplifying, and moving forward to a new environment of using our updated systems in a way that's highly productive with the work you're doing. So stay tuned on that front. We'll be engaging with you further.
Okay, thank you, David. And it's a good time to plug. There will be a CMS session tomorrow with Housing Action Illinois, who is going to be releasing their updated CMS guide to those free or inexpensive systems that are available out there, publicly available. I apologize. We received a companion question around the 9902. Folks would like more updated information rather than just for FY 2021. So this is something that us on the HUD Exchange have the data, and we will be posting that by the end of October for federal fiscal year 2022 and 2023 as we receive it from our partners here in housing counseling. So thanks for that.
Yeah, thank you, Shauna. Yeah.
Absolutely. Back on certification, any consideration of continuing education? Any consideration of continuing education should be required in addition or in part with the HUD certification?
So of course, I love continuing education, right? We're all lifelong learners. There's always a new issue that's emerging, whether it's through developments from agencies, new mortgage products, new issues, such as all of the education we had been doing on valuation and fair housing, fair lending. We are not considering a requirement of continuing education at this time, but I do hope that's part of the best practices discussion that we're beginning. Let me say this, the way we're operating the program and also all of our partners who are HUD-approved grantees to provide training, we are operating the program as if continuing education is out there and being provided. And I know everyone participates in our own HUD-sponsored trainings through the wonderful work of our Office of Capacity Building and Outreach, and as well, all of the other great programs that are out there. You know, there's so many wonderful organizations providing training as our partners. So we believe in continuing education, but we are not making it a requirement. What I will say, though, from the reports we receive, I do believe that the clear majority of counselors are actively engaged in continuing education, and that's to be applauded.
Okay, thank you. And two questions asked basically the same thing. We'll stick with certification, but we are now going to talk about HECM. So any consideration to waive the HECM certification retest that's every 3 years and just keep continuing ed, I guess, outside of the requirement to recertify?
So at this time, the answer is no. We are going to continue to require the HECM recertification. There are a number of reasons for it. One is the important role that housing counselors play. And by the way, I thought the workshop or the webinar yesterday as part of the conference on reverse mortgages was excellent. But I actually see the use of HECM, and I'll also say private label reverse mortgage products, increasing over the coming years. And that's because baby boomers are aging with very, very significant debt. And I think everyone's very aware that the reverse mortgage programs, HUDs and others, receives quite a bit of attention, whether it's from Congress or the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau or advocates as a whole, because of how we tap into essentially what is equity. And it's being done as a last choice for elders so they can age in place. But it's a very significant role to be probably the most serious certification in our space, a HUD-approved housing counselor who is also approved to be a HECM counselor. It is going to be an ongoing requirement. It's also an area that we're very focused on ensuring the quality of the sessions among all of our agencies who are providing the service. It cannot simply be a rubber stamp. And we have been receiving some reports of what I'll call volume counseling in this space. And again, keeping in mind the needs of the senior, the elders, the family, perhaps their guardians, it's very important that we have a best-in-class value proposition here, and the retest is perceived by many as ensuring that.
Okay, thank you for that. And this is from Evelyn Sanchez. It kind of goes back to the discussion yesterday. We're going to switch to national industry standards. So, so if it's not required, would HUD collaborate with the national industry standards to include the HUD certification?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I think that's one of the major reasons to update the best practices and industry standards. We're in a whole new world today. When the standards were crafted, there was no such thing as the Office of Housing Counseling or HUD certification. All the HUD handbook was, something that didn't even really have the weight that it does today. The whole point of this is to really create an environment where we do have rules, but we also have best practices that industry can celebrate. And as I noted yesterday during the programming, my hope is that we will actively engage with our industry partners and really take housing counseling to scale. This is our moment. I really firmly believe that. And there are lenders and servicers who really understand the value of reaching underserved markets or those who are falling out of the servicing marketplace. And so we can help them retain their homes, or even can be more proactive with some of the new tools that have been created, such as capturing counseling that's done at origination, where you can follow up with consumers if, in fact, they're beginning to struggle. So much opportunity with the best practices now. And I want everyone to dream a little bit as we begin to meet not only as the counseling community, but with lenders, with real estate professionals, with servicers, with the securitizers, with regulators, really everyone who's a stakeholder here.
Okay, thank you, David. I know there's a lot of interest in releasing some of what was gathered yesterday, so we can talk about that. This is Ellie Pepper actually asked 2 questions, but I'm going to prioritize this one if you don't mind. She's with the National Housing Resource Center. Hi, David. Any thoughts you want to share on the recent release from CFPB on information that the HUD RESPA rules for housing counseling fee for service, basically any guidance about accepting these arrangements for fee for service?
Yeah, Ellie, thank you for highlighting that question. So first, this is a major affirmation of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau of essentially a policy that they have been saying they have been embracing. In discussions with housing counseling organizations, with lenders, they have always affirmed that they wanted to follow through on what was HUD guidance, HUD guidance 1999-1. If you want to be technical to look it up, it is available on the CFPB website. They published it just about 2 weeks ago now. And in essence, it follows the rules of the road that we established in the Office of Housing Counseling and through HUD, frankly, over 2 decades ago. And what it says is what you know well, that in fact, if you are receiving a fee for service from a mortgage originator, that you must follow certain guidelines, such as offering 3 different products and comparing them so the consumer can make the best choice for their needs. Now, there are other guidelines like this, but in the marketplace, there has been a concern about RESPA compliance by many mortgage originators. And that has been a stumbling block to take pre-purchase counseling to scale. I'm also excited because our step, where we are in the home ownership initiative, going to negotiate with grantees to establish a market rate for housing counseling through our grant program, in essence, a negotiated fixed price for pre and post-purchase housing counseling. Both of these developments together should really affirm and allow us all to take counseling to scale with private sector resources and eliminate any fear of a compliance risk by working with a housing counseling organization. This is a very significant step. Conversations I've had with industry leaders are applauding this, what was a wonderful, simply affirmation of existing policy, but it gives clarity to all of us. So I really applaud what the CFPB has done here.
Okay, great. And I think I'm just going to do one final question, but I did want to plug, there is a session on fee for service tomorrow at 12:30 that we're very excited about. So one last question about, could future NOFOs allow for the increase of cost to onboard new hires? Getting a new counselor certified can be lengthy and is limited while studying.
Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion, and we will look at that. I mean, we're trying to develop mechanisms to, in fact, support the training of counselors, recognize an onboarding period. Now, of course, the certification requirement to practice, so to speak, is a statutory requirement. But we are looking at creative ways and already through some of our HBCU initiatives, funding some of these approaches and trying to learn from it. So definitely we'll take a look at that.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And I just encourage everyone to continue to dialogue with David on 6 Connect. We do have a short break, and then we're going to be starting at 12:30 Eastern, latest updates and advancing equitable lending. Then we've got our MSI session called Modeling Housing Counseling Agency Higher Education Partnerships and Learning from the Best. Then we've got 2 series of breakouts this afternoon from 3:30 to 5:30 2 on operational excellence, 1 more appropriate for intermediaries, 1 more appropriate for locals. And then finally, we'll end the day with a session on after the storm, housing counselors, respond to disasters. And then we'll also put a spotlight on rental housing counseling, long-term lessons learned. And stay connected with us as we talked about, and we look forward to attending and continuing to dialogue with you on 6 Connect. So we'll talk to you all soon.
Shauna, can I just say one more thing before we adjourn? Great, thank you so much. First, I want to do a shout out to a few people who have been really active on 6 Connects. And I know this 6 Connects is new, but Lindsay, forgive me if I mispronounce your last name, O'Coin with Quaborg Valley Community Development. You have been the most active person so far in 6 Connect. Wow. And that's through chatting, the commenting on boards, everything. Stacy James and Angela Frazier, you're right behind from Ohio and Maryland. Thank you. But I just want to conclude as well by saying I and the entire team, the entire talented team at the Office of Housing Counseling are available to always engage with you. Continue to ask us questions, engage with us. And when you come to the regional meetings, we also have these Ask Us Anything type sessions. We are here to serve you and to make a difference in the lives in all of the people and communities that we work. So again, thank you for everything that you do and enjoy the balance of the conference. Shauna, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, David. And we'll see you all in a half hour.